Welcome to my channel. My name is Gajira. I am the Silver Dragon Gamer. So today we're going to be picking up our Legend of Zelda series with probably my least favorite one, Zelda 2: The Adventures of Link. I played this game back on the NES and it just really never vibed with me. But for you guys, I'm willing to give it a second chance. One quick note for this video though, there are a whole bunch of caves in this particular game that if you don't have an item, the candle from the first palace, the caves are just pitch black and you can barely see anything. And I thought that makes for an incredibly boring video. So I only included like the first two caves that you do, one of which is a passageway and one of which you have to go pick up an item. Beyond that, I'm skipping all the caves. I'll show you the items at the end as I pick them up, so you know that I actually did pick them up. But keep in mind, if I hadn't, this would be somewhere around an hour-long video because of these caves, and incredibly tedious. So, without much further ado, let's jump into it. Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link. So, we're going to load up our character here, and we're going to drop in and head out for our first item, the extra magic container. We're going to head out of the princess's chamber to the east, go around to the south to this little cave, where we're going to clear it out little bit by little bit and get our first level up from a P bag, which basically is a little experience bag worth 50, which is going to let me increase my life total. Then I'm going to jump over here to the right, grab the container, and move on to step 2, our shield spell. So the shield spell is found just to the east of the princess's palace in the first village we come to, called Bagu Village. Inside this village, we're going to find health regenerators, we're going to find magic regenerators. If we talk to this purple lady that came out of the door, she's going to give us access to a sage who lives in her basement, who's going to teach us the shield spell, which is incredibly handy because it cuts a lot of our damage that we take, but at the cost of magic. So our next step after acquiring this is an extra heart container, always useful in a Legend of Zelda game. So to acquire the extra heart container, we're going to head out of Bagu Village and off to the northeast into this passageway, which will give us access to the desert, also known as Parappa Desert. We're going to follow the right-hand path down around the coast until we find this little patch of green where we have a single heart container being guarded by Goria, one of the little boomerang-chucking, almost cat-like people. We're going to beat him into the ground with a few sword swipes. You notice that the beam pushes him back and does no damage, though. So we're going to beat this guy, grab our heart container, and continue on our way to an experience bag and try and gain some more levels. So we're going to head back around through the trap in the pathway, up and through the desert, into the woods again, and into this lone little section of woods. The reason we're going in here is because there's a P bag in here which will give us a quick 50 and allow us to either gain a level or skip and head towards the next level, which is what we're going to do because I want to increase my attack. And we're going to move on now to the trophy, which will unlock something in the next town. So from the little woods, we're going to head north into this cave, do a little fighting through some creatures, kill a Goria, and grab the trophy here. And then from here, it's off to Ruto Village to earn our jump spell. Now the jump spell is mildly useful. It's a couple of spots in the game that do require you to have the jump spell. Gives you about triple height. We're going to go into Ruto Village, talk to the lady in red coming out of that door. It's going to give us access to her basement and the second sage, who's going to let us actually learn the jump spell here. And then once we've learned that, we're going to move on to step 7, earning an extra life. So because this game tends to lean more into its platformer as well as a little bit of RPG, we have lives in this. We start with 3, we're going to go through the cave, grab some health there, and by that stone is a hidden spot where we can grab a doll to get us our 4th extra life. And from there we move into step 8, 2 more experience bags. Now these 2 experience bags are worth a lot more than your first one, which was only 50. This first one we're going to grab is in this cave. It's worth 200, which is great. I'm going to skip the level up. The reason for that is you really want to have prioritize your attack and life over magic. The second one is in this single tree. It's worth 100. This time I'm going to grab magic because it it's time to level that up. And I've got an additional 300 left. Now, I'm going to show you my personal experience farm of how I get to level 8 in all of the stats for this game. They really tried to lean into not only a platformer, but also an RPG in this. So I go into the swamp area, I run into the little blob guys, and that gives me 5 Octoroks, which with 5 Octoroks, that gives me a total of 40 to 90 experience depending on the 6th drop. If I only get just the blue potion off of the 6th drop, then I get 40. If I get the bag, I get 90. Or generally, if it's just all 5, I get 50. But now we're on to our next art, the Bagu's Note. The reason for the Bagu's Note is Bagu is friends with the rivermen in the next town, Saria. Without the note, we can't get the riverman to open the drawbridge and let us across to the other side of Saria, which also gives us access to Death Mountain. With this note, now the riverman knows that we know Bagu, and we're okay to be let through into Death Mountain. Now, we're going to go get our life spell out of the town of Saria. The life spell in this game is not actually an extra life, it's a healing spell, and it is oh so necessary for this game. It starts off very expensive, but as you level magic, it gets much cheaper. Now that we have the note, we go back into town, we go into this particular building here, go up to the table and look for the mirror. The reason for this is there's a lady in this town who's lost her mirror. We just found it for her, so we're going to go back to this large house with the purple lady, tell her, hey, we found your mirror. She's going to get all excited, let us into the house, which is going to give us access to the 3rd of the stages, who's going to teach us the life spell, which will allow us to heal ourselves for most of our life. Now, once we've learned the life spell from this guy, now things get incredibly tedious in this game because we need to move out of the town and back to the swamp and grind until our hands hurt. This section is insanely tedious. Here's a breakdown of each of the levels that you have to gain to get a level up in life, magic, and attack. And for a grand total of 43,100 experience. It's extremely excessive. Now, this is me hitting finally level 888, which is the cap you can get. Now after that, you can get 9,000, which will grant you extra lives. Now from here, we're going to go get our hammer. So to quote MC Hammer, it's hammer time. So from here, we're going to go back to Saria town. Always use the east bridge, it's much easier. You just have to dodge some bubbles. So we're going to hightail it through town, all the way through the 2nd set of town, get a little healing. Talk to this guy in the lone hut at the end of the town. He's going to be shown the Bagu note. Oh, you know him? Here, let me help you cross. And then he's going to extend the drawbridge, which lets us go into the other half of town, which really has nothing but another guy. Now we're into what's called Death Mountain. If you follow this path that I'm walking very closely, it will get you through Death Mountain. I am skipping all of the caves because, as I said previously, they're very dark, very hard to see, and incredibly boring. Now once you pass through Death Mountain, you're going to drop into that hole and go through a bunch more cave, and that gives you access to the hammer. Now it's on to grab another magic container. This one's very easy. You just step to the left, break the rock, and drop into the hidden hole that appears there. You drop in right beside the container. Congratulations. You now have 6 containers of magic. So we're going to go grab our final extra life for this run through. So from here, we're going to head east and north and around the coast and go across this trapped bridge. Now we're going back into a small desert area by the graveyard. There's another hidden area that has yet another doll for us, which will give us our 5th and final life. And then we're moving on to the downward stab. This is located in the town of Mido, so we're going to head northeast along the coast. Once we reach the town, we're going to head inside until we find the 2-story chapel. Once here, we're going to activate the jump spell, which is going to give us access to the upstairs doorway, because the downstairs doesn't work. So we're going to go through there to the knight, who's going to teach us the great move of downward stab. This thing is amazing and really makes it a much better game. Now we're heading on to go pick up our 6th heart container. This is located behind a boulder outside of Mido town here in a cave. Again, not going to show the caves. Here we go, got our heart container, and from here we have to go pick up the water of life so we can move on to our final spell. Now for this, we're going to have to go back across the map here to the first swamp area. Break this boulder, move in through the cave, grab the water of life all the way at the end after a little maze, and we have to go back to Mido Town for the fairy spell. The fairy spell will turn you into a little fairy that normally looks like it would heal you. So we go into Mido Town, we go 3 screens in until we come to the purple crone here, who comes out of the door, and she's going to let us in now that we have the water of life. Go through her house, into her basement, talk to the sage, and he'll teach us the fairy spell. Fairy spell is very useless in a lot of the palaces. It allows you to skip doors as long as you have the magic to turn into one. But with that spell, that's everything. We are 888 in attack, magic, and life. We have shield, jump, life, fairy, and the hammer, as well as 5 extra lives. So, my name is Ben Gajira. Thank you for coming to my video. Please remember to like, subscribe, comment, all of the usual YouTube algorithm, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video.